Hello everyone, for today's video we're going to talk about
Inside the 5 lies Filipinas use to trap good men.
how the first lie usually sounds like love. Last month, a man booked a consultation with us. He's 67 years old, retired law enforcement, the kind of man who spent his entire career spotting animals, spotting lawyers, spotting people who were trying to hide something. For 9 months, he talked to a beautiful Filipina every day. There's so many good morning messages, good night messages, video calls, future plans. Do you know what he told me? Chrissy, she never asked me for money. I heard this sentence all the time, not just once, and in his mind, that proved she was different. That proved that she was sincere, and that proved that she was real. Until one day, he flew to the Philippines. He decided to surprise her. No warning, no announcement. Just a man in love trying to do something romantic. So he took a Grab to the address where he'd been sending support and walked up into the house, knocked on the door, and another man answered. That man was not her brother, not her cousin, not her neighbor. That man was her boyfriend, the father of her child. The man she'd been living with the entire time. Now that kind of situation happens all the time in the Philippines. No matter how many times you're gonna do the video call with the girl, how many times you're gonna say I love you, and how many times you're gonna send money. Now here's the part that shocked me. The first lie wasn't about another man. The first lie wasn't about the money. The first lie sounded like love. And once you understand how that first lie works, you'll start hearing certain phrases very differently. Because today, I'm going to show you the exact words that sound sweet. It sounds traditional, sounds sincere, and sometimes become the first step toward a very expensive lesson. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee or a beer, and stay with me. Let me explain to you how good men get trapped by beautiful stories. Now, gentlemen, let's talk about the lie that makes men feel special. The lie that makes men stop looking. The lie that makes men believe the competition has disappeared. Lie number 2. The phrase that says, "Baby, I deleted my dating apps." That's gonna sound so sweet. Now I want you to pay very close attention because this one works for every simple reason. It gives you exactly what you want. Certainty, assurance that she's just gonna be talking to you. And she says, I only talk to you, I don't need other men, I deleted my account because my heart is already yours. And suddenly, your heart is also pumping a lot of blood that will make your face blush and will make your heart so soft. And suddenly, you will feel chosen, you will feel special, you will feel like you won. Maybe for the first time in so many years. Maybe for the first time since your divorce. Maybe for the first time since your retirement. And that feeling is very powerful. But feelings are not evidence. Let's just be honest. You met online, you haven't met in person, you haven't spent a week together, you haven't experienced real life together, and yet somehow she's claiming complete emotional exclusivity. Could it happen? Of course, it happened to me and Rob. It happened to so many people that we knew. Anything is possible. But smart men don't evaluate possibilities. They evaluate probabilities. And in the real world, especially in the world of dating Filipinas, people who are searching for a future usually explore multiple opportunities. Not because they're so bad, not because they are evil people, but because they're just practical. The danger isn't that she's talking to other people, that the danger is convincing you that she's not. Because the moment you believe you're the only option, you stop evaluating behavior. You're just gonna believe everything that she's gonna say, everything that she's gonna show, everything that what she's gonna let you see in private. And that's when mistakes happen. Now let's move to the lie number 3. And this one is incredibly common. Baby, my family doesn't know about you. At first, it sounds innocent, maybe even sweet. And she says, my parents are traditional. My family is strict. I want to wait until the right time. And because you're a respectful man and knowing that she's a Filipina, and it's very normal for a sweet Filipina to be private, to be low-key, to be very conservative, you accept the explanation. But let me tell you something about Filipino families. Privacy exists, that's very true, but not the way many Western men imagine. In most Filipino households, everybody knows everything. Everybody knows who's calling, everybody knows who's messaging, and everybody knows when English suddenly appears on the phone every night. Everybody knows. In the Philippines, it's not normal for a Filipina to talk to someone in plain English, so they will know that the Filipina is talking to a foreigner guy. Most of the time, Filipinos have limited private rooms or bedrooms. Everybody shares rooms, so everybody will notice. The walls are thin, the families are close, the gossip travels at the speed of light. We have people here that we call a walking radio, because the moment they pass by, you will get information, and that someone could be one of the family members. It's always possible. So when a woman claims nobody knows about you, sometimes that's true, but sometimes she's managing information, managing visibility, managing options, and those are very different things. Watch for the signs. Does she only call you from the outside of the house? Does she disappear whenever she's home? Does she suddenly lose signal every time you ask for a video call? Does every conversation like a witness protection interview? If so, now you have to pay attention, because secrets are so expensive. And eventually, somebody pays for them. I heard a lot of this situation where the man will tell me, I cannot call her whenever I want. She has to set the schedule. That's gonna sound fishy. If you cannot contact her on your own timeline, it means she's managing your timeline. Now let's talk about the most famous phrase in the Philippines, the phrase that has probably launched 1,000 arguments. This is lie number 4. He's just my cousin. He's just my classmate. He's just my neighborhood best friend. Gentlemen, the cousin population in the Philippines must be absolutely enormous. Like, I got hundreds of cousins, and the cousins of my cousins can be my cousin. But according to Facebook, every attractive Filipina appears to have a cousin in every photograph. The cousin who comments hearts, the cousin who drives a motorcycle, the cousin who takes her to dinner, the cousin who is always nearby, and the cousin who somehow appears every weekend. And the worst thing is the cousin that sleeps in her bedroom. Now, am I joking a little? Yes, but am I completely joking? Absolutely not. Because the issue isn't whether he's really a cousin. The issue is what happens when you ask the question. A sincere woman provides clarity. A deceptive woman provides dismissal. Now you have to notice the difference. A sincere woman says, "Oh, that's my cousin Mark. He's married. His wife was there too. I could show you our pictures together. This is his son. This is his wife." Something like that. She's gonna give you a peace of mind. Very, very clear and specific and very easy. A deceptive woman says, "Oh, baby, why are you so jealous?" Different response. Doesn't answer your question. One provides information, the other attacks the question. That distinction matters because healthy people solve confusion. Manipulative people protect confusion. And now we arrive at one of my favorites because it shows up constantly. Lie number 5. My phone is broken. Oh yes, the broken phone, the cracked screen, the water damage, the mysterious technology emergency. Suddenly, she messages you from another account or another phone or another Facebook profile, and she says, "Baby, my screen is broken. I can't see your beautiful face. I miss you so much. I can't video call. I wanted to see you, but oh my gosh, my phone doesn't work because it's broken." If I would be asked by all of the men in the world that, "Chrissy, what would I do if the woman cannot video call because her phone is broken?" The only one answer I'm gonna say is just block her. He's just gonna be wasting your time. A woman who's gonna go to online dating should have her tools ready. A woman that have a lot of excuses to video call, have her wallet ready. Now let's slow down because sometimes phones really do break. Phones break every day. My phone was cracked when I first met Rob. Can you believe that? Am I one of those women who pretended to have a cracked phone so that the man will buy me a phone? Maybe. Who knows? The issue is the timing. The issue is the pattern. The issue is what happens next. Because in consultation after consultation, we've seen situations where the broken phone appears at the very convenient moment. A weekend, a holiday, a period of unusual silence, a time when she suddenly becomes unavailable, and then, without anybody asking, the conversation somehow drifts toward replacement costs, repair costs, upgrade costs, mall prices, phone prices, and she's gonna offer solutions. And guess who becomes the solution? It's you. That's why experienced men don't focus on the broken phone. They focus on the pattern surrounding it. Since I shared my personal story about my cracked phone, the only difference is that we've been talking for 45 days with Rob, but I've never mentioned. He just saw it. I never demanded, but he just felt like he wanted to do it. Was it wrong? He was very wrong. But look, it turned out that his relationship ended in our marriage. So not every cracked phone ended up into scamming. It really depends on the context, because the context tells the story, not the device. Which brings me to one of the most expensive stories we've ever seen. Let's call him Mark. Mark was 62, brilliant accountant, extremely successful, a numbers guy, the type of person who catches mistake for a living. He met a Filipina online and she's very sweet, educated, ambitious, studying for a certification, or at least that's what he believed. One evening, she called him and crying, not asking for money, not directly. She told him her laptop died and she badly needed, and it's completely dead, and if she couldn't replace it immediately, she would fail her certification program. Years of effort gone, dreams destroyed, future ruined, at least according to the story. Mark really has the urge to help her because that's who he was, a helper, a provider, a protector. So he sent approximately $800. Immediately, he felt good about it, proud of it, and she sent photographs, receipt, a laptop box. Everything looked legitimate. Everything looked perfect for a while. Then the relationship began changing. She became distant, less available, less affectionate, more excuses, more delays, so Mark booked a consultation with us, and we started looking deeper. What we found was fascinating. The laptop box photo came from an online product review. The receipt had been edited. The certification program did not exist. And the money never purchased a laptop. Now, the reason I tell you that story isn't because Mark was foolish. Mark wasn't foolish. Mark was emotional, and emotions make people vulnerable, especially when they believe they're helping somebody they love. That's human and not stupidity. But this is very dangerous because the first lie had already worked. The first lie convinced him she was different. Everything after that became easier. And don't feel too bad about yourself if you had this kind of experience, because women like me were fooled as well before. And here's the scary part of this video. We're still not finished because later in this video, you'll understand why certain women never want you to visit unexpectedly. You will understand why you need to be careful. You will understand why you need to limit the emotions that you're gonna show with a woman you thought is in love with you. But before we get there, I want to show you something even more important. What happens when you finally question the story? Because that's when the emotional manipulation begins. And sweetheart, that's where things get really interesting. Now we've talked about the lies, we've talked about the stories, we've talked about the little phrases that more good men lower their guard. But now we need to talk about something much more important. What happens when you finally notice? Because here's what most men believe. They believe the difficult part is spotting the contradiction. It is not. The difficult part comes after. The difficult part is what happens when you ask about it. Because a professional doesn't just tell a lie. A professional protects the lie. And the protection strategy is often more dangerous than the lie itself. Now let's go back to Gary, the retired law enforcement officer I told you about earlier. For 9 months, he talked to a beautiful Filipina, a single mother, small province, traditional values, family-oriented, everything he wanted, everything he considered his sweet spot. Everything seemed normal. Except for one thing. She never wanted video calls at night. Never. Not once. Every excuse sounded reasonable. My baby is sleeping. My parents are sleeping. The signal is bad. There's no electricity. The neighbors are so noisy. There is no privacy. One excuse, then another, then another. And because each excuse sounded reasonable, Gary never connected them together. Remember what I told you earlier. Words tell stories. Patterns tell the truth. The situation seemed simple. Gary wanted a future, a home, a wife, a peaceful retirement. The desire was real. The dream was real. And because the dream was real, he overlooked the conflict. The conflict wasn't another man. The conflict was information. He wasn't seeing the whole picture. He was seeing the version she wanted him to see. And eventually, like many good men, he began helping, not huge amounts, just enough to help, just enough to support the household. For him, just enough to make her life easier. A few $100s here, a few $100s there, nothing dramatic, nothing crazy, nothing that felt dangerous, until the day he got an airplane ticket. Now you have to pay attention, because this is the moment that changes everything. Gary decided to surprise her. No warning, no countdown, no announcement. Just a man in love trying to do something romantic. He arrived at the address, walked up to the house, knocked on the door, and another man answered. The man behind those excuses and lies that she said. Think about that. A retired law enforcement officer, smart man, a disciplined man, a careful man, and yet he wasn't defeated by a giant lie. He was defeated by dozens of tiny ones, one after another, and one after another, until they created an alternate reality. And that's how it usually happens, not with one massive deception, with 1,000 little adjustments. Now let's talk about what happens when a man finally notices. Because eventually, every story develops cracks. Eventually, something doesn't add up. A timeline, a comment, a missing detail, something. And that's when many men make an important discovery. The woman isn't upset that you caught the contradiction. She's upset that you questioned it. Very different thing. Which brings us to what I call the 24-hour emotion cycle. And once you see this pattern, you'll never unsee it. Let's start with the stage 1, the question. You ask something reasonable, not aggressive, not rude, not accusatory, just a question. Baby, who was that man? Baby, why were you online at 3 a.m.? Honey, why did the story change? It's very simple. It's very reasonable. It's very normal. For a woman that is real, that is very easy to answer. Stage 2, the emotional explosion. Suddenly, you are the problem. She'll say, "You don't trust me. Why are you attacking me? I thought you loved me. If you don't trust me, why are we even talking?" Notice what happened? The conversation moved. It moved away from the contradiction and onto your behavior. That is not an accident. It is a counterattack of a person who doesn't know how to answer those questions. Stage 3, the silence. The messages stopped, the calls stopped, the affection stops, the attention disappears. Hours pass, then a day, maybe two, and nothing. Complete silence. And during that silence, something very predictable happens. You begin negotiating with yourself. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should apologize. Maybe I should fix this. Now let's go to stage 4, the panic. Now the loneliness arrives. Now the uncertainty arrives. Now the fear arrives. And suddenly, the contradiction doesn't seem important anymore. The only thing that matters is getting the relationship back. And stage 5, the reward. You apologize, you send a gift, you send Gcash, you send PayPal, you send flowers, you smooth things over, and suddenly everything is wonderful again. Just like that. The affection returns, the sweetness returns, the relationship returns, her happy smile returns, at least temporarily. Do you see what happened? You were not solving a disagreement. You were being trained. Trained that asking questions creates pain and staying quiet creates comfort. That is not communication. That is conditioning. Now, before anybody misunderstands me, let's be fair. Not every Filipina who tells a small lie is a predator. Not every inconsistency means deception. Not every misunderstanding means manipulation. That would be ridiculous because Filipino culture is different from Western culture. We have something called smooth interpersonal relations. Many Filipinos hate confrontation. We hate embarrassment. We hate making people uncomfortable. Sometimes a good Filipina will absolutely tell a small lie, not because she's trying to exploit you, because she's trying to avoid shame. That's different. Very different. Let me give you 2 examples. A woman tells you she already ate lunch, but she didn't. Why? Because she doesn't want you worrying. She doesn't want you thinking her family is struggling. That's an embarrassment lie, not a manipulation lie. Now compare that to a woman who creates a dramatic emergency. A broken phone, a sick relative, a sudden crisis, a lost wallet, a hospital bill, and every road somehow leads to financial assistance. That's different. I always tell men, when your woman will always tie up a lot of accidents, a lot of bills, a lot of hospitals, a lot of emergencies, you should be worried. Because a real Filipino in the Philippines would be very, very shy to tell you constant problem in her life. A real Filipina protects her dignity. The other studies generosity. One avoids shame, the other measures opportunity. And smart men learn to recognize the difference. So what does a sincere woman do? Simple. A sincere woman welcomes time. She welcomes consistency. She welcomes transparency. She doesn't panic when reasonable questions are asked. She doesn't disappear for 2 days. She doesn't punish curiosity. She doesn't make honesty feel dangerous because she has nothing to protect except the truth. And the truth is easy to maintain. I want you to know that the Philippines is filled with incredible women, traditional women, loyal women, honest women, hardworking women, women who would make wonderful wives, wonderful partners, wonderful mothers. They absolutely exist. The goal is allowing time to reveal character because eventually character always appears. Eventually patterns tells the story. The truth introduces itself. And that's why the first lie matters so much, not because it's expensive. Usually it is not. The first lie matters because it opens the door. It creates the story. It creates the illusion. It creates the emotional foundation that everything else sits on top of. And once you understand that, you stop listening only to words. You start watching behavior. You start watching consistency. You start watching patterns. And that one change alone can save you thousands of dollars, months of heartaches, and years of regret. If you'd like help evaluating a relationship, or if something in today's video felt a little too familiar, Rob and I can help. Read our book, Fly Me to the Philippines, book a consultation, see the pinned comment, or schedule one of our open source social media review. We'll show you the data, we'll show you patterns, we'll show you facts, not fantasies. We'll share with you what we really see in your relationship and what we really see about the woman. Real love does exist, but real love never needs a complicated script. Always remember, fly smart, fly with confidence, only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.
Till next time, don't forget to write